Am I the a-hole for taking money from my niece after catching her stealing? Story, note, I'm not involving the police, suing anyone, etc. Please don't try to argue with me about this or convince me why I should. I have a perfume collection that I started when I was a teenager, slinging burritos as my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. I take great pride in my collection, and I use it. I'm also happy to give people decants, samples, of most of my bottles, let them sample a spray or two, give some bottles as gifts, etc. What I have a huge effing issue with is my 17-year-old niece coming into my home under the guise of walking my dog, decanting bottles on her own, and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks that because I have so many bottles, I wouldn't notice some missing or getting massive dents in them. Well, Little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realize that her private Instagram wasn't friends only or whatever, and I saw each and every effing story with each price and sample she had. I tallied that crap up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully, she mostly picked the TikTok famous perfumes like Bianco Latte and Escapade Gourmand and didn't go for the most rare niche perfumes. She did snatch an entire 2.5 ounces bottle of Baccarat Rouge though, which runs $300 plus at most retailers, as well as full bottles of perfumes you can get at Sephora, like Marc Jacobs Daisy, Burberry, Her Elixir Flower Bomb, etc. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full. And of course, her effing sneaky little ass is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super pissy with me going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. Their argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She is lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. But am I the a-hole because she is a teenager? Response 1. NTA. I can see from the fact that her mom considers a 17-year-old just a kid, as if she were a 5-year-old who stole a cookie before dinner, has caused her to act very entitled. She made a series of decisions to steal from you and profit from it. And she's either just a kid when she's stealing pricey scents, or she's an almost adult saving up for a car. Can't have it both ways on your dime. You'll be teaching her a better lesson than her mom bothered to. Reply 1. This teen is lucky the lesson only involves having to pay back what she stole instead of having charges pressed. OP is being nicer about this than a lot of people would. 17 is way too old to excuse stealing. If she tries this in less than a year with the wrong person, she will end up with a criminal record for the rest of her adult life. Reply 2. Depending where this is, that would be the best, least violent outcome for her. In some parts of the world, if someone knows you're stealing from them or have stolen from them in the past, they don't even bother with a legal approach. They just go straight to kicking the person's ass. Reply 3. My father-in-law used to go to Tanzania for a month every summer. He had a new MacBook One trip that was stolen and was pretty sure he knew who took it but didn't say anything because he worried they'd kill him. They looked down on thieves as is, let alone someone who'd stolen from a guest of the village. Hell, people die over that kind of thing here in the US every day, it seems. It's definitely good for OP's niece to learn her lesson this way rather than the hard way later on. Reply 4. At 17, she could end up with a criminal record now if her aunt decided to involve the police. Sometimes people can get juvenile records expunged, but that's not always the case. Reply 5. 100%. She's a young adult about to go to college and have a car. She knows stealing is wrong, and if she doesn't, well, there is no time like the present. She started a criminal enterprise on her own with marketing and distribution. That's pretty adult. Response 2. NTA. Note, I'm not involving the police, suing anyone, etc. Please don't try to argue with me about this or convince me why I should. Understood, but your niece is very lucky you are taking this approach. Their argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. Of course it has to go to paying you back. Why would you buy your niece a car if she didn't have to pay you back? That is what would be happening with extra steps. Reply 1. Right, like if she had stolen from a store or a stranger, would they be saying this? She's committing crimes to pay for her car instead of working a job like a decent human being. Reply 2. Right. Niece and sister need to understand that this could be much more impactful than just having to pay back / return stolen perfume. Depending on the total monetary value, this could even be a federal crime. She's damn lucky OP just wants her to learn a lesson and not destroy her life. Others will not be so lenient. Response 3. Decants from rare vintage perfumes can go for substantial amounts. People make a living off of this. Your niece decided to defraud you hoping she would never get caught. I think her parent needs to take a hard look at the morals of her child. Reply 1. I am so thankful that she doesn't have an eye for vintage perfumes and only took the popular stuff. Reply 2. Stupid question here. How long are the vintage perfumes good for? Like, would you still wear a 25-year-old Bulgari? Reply 3. It'll depend on storage, ingredients, etc. I generally don't wear perfumes that are that old. Maybe smell them once in a while. Reply 4. I have some perfumes I wore in high school around 20 years ago and they're still good. It does depend on storage and other factors like OP said, but if stored properly, perfumes can last a long time. Reply 5. I bought this mostly empty bottle of vintage. Can't get a solid answer, but roughly somewhere between 70, 90 years old based on the info I could find. Aucoin Magnolia perfume that came in a little dice-shaped bottle. I can't speak for what it would have smelled like when it was first made, but it did still smell pleasant and floral, which was a neat and very unexpected surprise. It would definitely vary between perfumes and also how they're stored, but sometimes they can last several decades and still smell nice. Response 4. NTA. I don't see how her not having a car is your problem. The money she has for the car is made from selling perfume she stole from you. She's lucky the consequences are not more serious. I guess she won't have a car until she figures out legitimate ways to earn money that doesn't involve stealing. Reply 1. Also, if her hobby is theft, enabling her to take her racket farther out is a very poor choice. She can't be trusted at home. She can't be trusted to leave home in her own. Reply 2. I'm wondering if the niece significantly undervalued the samples and now would have to use money she had saved from other sources to fully reimburse OP. Sucks to not only be a thief, but a crap business person too. She might be able to learn multiple lessons from this little stunt. Reply 3. The money she has for the car is made from selling perfume she stole from you. I was floored they tried to make this argument. I mean, seriously. They're trying to suggest the thief is the real victim here because she can't get a car if she can't use the proceeds from the sale of O.P, quote, S, stolen goods. How the hell is the sister not furious with her daughter? Seems to have zero intention of punishing her and is arguing they should be able to keep the money from what she stole. Response 5. NTA, not even sure why you're asking this, to be honest. She is lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. You are aware that if your sister is fine with also torpedoing her relationship with you, since your niece already did, you aren't getting restitution without getting the law involved. Reply 1. If you agree not to press criminal charges against her and she can just pay you back, then I would recommend that you set up a contract with her. Put in the date, your names and your addresses, and write down what happened, that she stole from you on these specific dates, name the products, and how much she owes you. You write down in this contract that she has to pay you back until date X. If that doesn't happen, you can use this contract for filing criminal charges. Response 6. A mistake would be accidentally knocking over and breaking a bottle. She had to make a plan. Find a way into your house, choose a perfume, put it into a sample bottle, look up prices, set up her Instagram, collect the money, deliver the perfume. Repeat. At any one of these points, she could and should have realized that what she was doing was wrong and could get her in trouble. The only reason she thought she could do this is because she thought she wouldn't face any consequences because you are family. Imagine if she went into a Sephora and stole perfume to sell it. Would her mom still say, "Oh, she's just a kid?" Someone who is old enough to think about getting a car, and with that level of criminal energy, is definitely old and mature enough to face the consequences of their own actions. She will only escalate from this point on if she gets away with this. Reply 1. The behavior is so repulsive, I don't know how I would interact with my niece or sister after that point. The lesson is, it's okay to steal as long as you can get the victim to not act. points if it is someone in the family who knows and loves you because they will feel more conflicted. Great parenting. That kid is going to end up in jail because they will minimize the severity of theft and try to do it again to make another buck. And mom is validating that way of earning money. Disgusting. Reply 2, NTA. Your niece is learning that it is okay to steal from family because nothing will be done. I would be tempted to warn all the family that niece is a thief and your sister supports her being a thief. Then let them deal with the consequences. Reply 3. Also, acquire sample bottles. Unless OP had a big stash of sample bottles and the niece stole those too, then that means she had to get on Amazon and invest money into stealing. Reply 4. Yeah, did the parents just not notice that this kid was all of a sudden getting extra pocket money without a job? I would 100% notice if my kid was getting deliveries from Amazon and suddenly socking away a ton of money for a car or buying fun stuff outside of allowance or whatever. Reply 5. I want to add, this is likely not the first time she's stolen something. People don't go from never stealing to devising and executing a plan like this. There are steps in between. This is either just the first time she's gotten caught, or her parents know and have been covering for her for a while. Response 7. I said yes. Kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. Not the a-hole. She stole plain and simple. The age shouldn't be a consideration here. She needs to pay you back. Reply 1. She stole with the full intent to profit. Niece is pure garbage. Sister is pure garbage to enable nice. OP is not the a-hole and well entitled to be repaid for what was stolen. Response 8. The age of 17 is past the point that you can use the excuse, she's just a kid, way past the point. Even though you aren't pressing charges, your sister needs to realize that someone else would, and the police would take it seriously as a case of theft. She probably made the money she was going to use for a car stealing from you. So that excuse doesn't hold up. She didn't earn that money. She stole it. Two different things. Reply 1. I bet you to her parents when she does something wrong that they don't care about, then she's just a kid. But if she does something they don't like, then I bet she's suddenly an adult or almost an adult. Response 9. NTA. But it might not be a terrible idea to post on her account how she got the samples so that her friends also know what she did and they have to protect their own collections. Tell other family members also. It's possible you're not the only victim. Reply 1. Oh, this is such a good idea. I hadn't considered this. I know at least one of her friends has a mom who's into perfume as well and has a few niche fragrances. Thanks, I would not have considered this. Reply 2. I do strongly agree that even if you decide not to press charges, it will be crucial for you to make sure that you control the narrative in this situation. This girl was not borrowing a little perfume for her friends. She was creating a business based on underhanded theft, and it's quite likely that she is stealing for profit from other sources as well, including jewelry, money, food, etc. Tom. As many other posters have brought up, there is no logical mistake that could have been made here. Your niece thought she was clever and engaged in burglary on a repeat level, and she needs to understand the gravity of that kind of behavior before she gets in major employment trouble as an adult. Reply 3. I can already hear your sister now. How dare you tell people our daughter stole from you? Brace yourself, though I agree it's a great idea. I'm all for calling people out publicly when they want to act like it didn't happen. Response 10, easy not the a-hole. Yes, she's a teenager, but that accounts for why you're willing to give her the pretty light consequences of only paying you back for what she stole. Adults would be looking at legal consequences. She's not going to be able to afford a car for college because she got caught stealing and has to make it right. None of that is your fault. Reply 1. How about the niece having to delay college for a year and spending it doing volunteer work in the community? Sounds fair to me. Reply 2. I disagree. Forced volunteer work is a disaster. Why make some poor supervisor/charity worker deal with her? Response 11. Yes, her paying it back __ is _ how she learns her lesson, as opposed to going to jail instead, since she's a teenager. Instead of learning that there will be no consequences for stealing, not the a-hole. Response 12. NTA. Yes, niece is a kid, but this was not a mistake. This was a series of choices. A 17-year-old is old enough to know the difference and pay the consequences. Reply 1. Any reasonably intelligent 12-year-old knows, or should know, that stealing is wrong. And that's a human standard, not a religious or legal standard. Response 13. My 17-year-old niece trashed our house while house-sitting once. I tallied up the damages, around $2,000, and presented her with a bill for the things that was just maliciously broken. A part on my wheelchair that was broken when they raised it down the street, and the net for my kid's trampoline that was slashed with a knife, totaling around $100. Her mother freaked out completely and told me it was my own fault for asking too much of a teenager and forbid me to talk to her. That teenager is now an adult. She has no job and no education and has even been homeless a while in a country where homelessness is rare. As soon as something gets hard, she just gives up and quits, and she has never learned to deal with the consequences of her choices. You will indeed do your niece a favor by teaching her that actions have consequences. It is understandable that your sister wants to protect her child, but the very best way to do that is to let her learn that lesson now, when the consequence is just not getting a car and not going to jail. Edited to add, not the a-hole, obviously. Response 14, NTA. I banned one of my cats from my room for knocking over my nail polish collection. Guess you and I both have our special collections, haha. So your 17-year-old niece can face the consequences for stealing your perfumes. Response 15, NTA. Your 17-year-old niece, for all intents and purposes an adult, has never been taught to respect the property rights of others. I learned very young that you never even touch what belongs to someone else without permission. And Granddad taught me, whether it's a penny or $1 million, you're still a thief. But I'm Gen X, and back in those days, being a thief was still considered to be a bad thing. You have so much, and I need / want something is not and can never be a defense to the crime of theft, despite what a huge chunk of the US population believes. Your niece is a thief, there's no sugarcoating that. And your sister is an accessory after the fact by enabling her. Say a stranger broke into your house and stole the whole collection and the police caught them before they could fence it. The thief can't just say, "Sorry, my bad, here's the perfume back," and not go to jail. So your niece needs to face some real consequences besides just paying you back. My kid, forget about a car. They're paying you back and doing as much volunteer community service as you and I decide is appropriate if they want continued financial support from the family. Response 16. Your sister's attitude is what really pisses me off. To say that she's just a kid, she's 17 freaking years old. You know exactly what she was doing. I would never let her in my house again. Response 17. N5. A. She's 17, soon to be an adult. She's stealing to earn money for her own needs. Yes, time for her to learn a lesson before she takes being a thief into adulthood. Reply 1. No, she's 100% stealing for her wants, not her needs. I'm pretty sure OP would have made sure she had food, toiletries, etc. if she were really in dire straits. Response 18, NTA. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full. And of course her effing sneaky little ass is never allowed in my home again. Good on you, on both counts. My sister got super pissy with me going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said, yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. You're right, kids make mistakes and so do adults, and the key thing is to take responsibility, learn from them, and try to repair any damage done. Your sister made a mistake. She raised a child to think, at 17, that stealing is acceptable. Now she needs to repair the damage done to family relationships and try to set her daughter on the correct course in the little time she has left before her daughter reaches adulthood. Your niece, however, she didn't make a mistake. She did it deliberately. The only thing that was a mistake was A, getting caught, and B, thinking her actions were acceptable. Response 19, NTA. Not only did she steal from you, she did it badly and she shouldn't get to use her stolen money on a car. Response 20, NTA. An idea for you, though, is to bluff. Unless you've already told them you won't go to cops, they'll be none the wiser. Niece has X amount of time to pay me back before I escalate to small claims court. Just to light a fire under their ass?